Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Skyxx148 Podcast. This is episode number 14, I believe, and we are back at it. And sadly, this is our normal podcast in a little bit, but we have another guest, and it's going to be super fun. Yeah, we're back to school now. Kind of sucks. So we're gonna get into some things, but in today's podcast, we are going to be going over Soul and the Ratatouille TikTok musical. Because me and Tim both recently went over that and did that. Oh my god, my lighting's terrible.
Yeah, I watched that with my girlfriend, actually.
Yeah, yes you did. So, guys, if you want to follow me on social media, you can go Skyxx148 on Instagram, Twitter, and yeah, that's it. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not, for podcasts every week. Hopefully, yeah, every week we're trying to do the best with consistency and all that. So just subscribe and stay tuned. Plug your socials. Would you like, Tim?
Well, Timber777 on Twitch. Do a lot of Mario Kart streaming. Personal best attempts for records. Not really much to do on the YouTube channel, but yeah.
Yeah, that works. You seem very drained.
A little bit, man. A little bit.
Makes sense. And another social to follow if you haven't is at @flowforreal_ on Instagram. He is our guest today. I can see him in our backstage over there. So go follow him if you have not, for some awesome Lego content of all kinds. We're going to go over that in a little bit. So, what's recent with our lives? Now, of course, we started school, but you want to take that away, Tim?
Well, obviously, you saw last week on the podcast, we actually got together and we did a little in-person thing. So that was a lot of fun. Stayed up all night. We watched a movie. We played some Cyberpunk. We played some Fortnite, it was pretty chill. But I've had not as much work recently. I've had my hours slimmed down a little bit. So I've had a little bit more free time. I spent the day with my friend Dylan on Sunday, watched some football, had a good time there. Got to hang out with my girlfriend yesterday. We went and we, had some fun. We went shopping a little bit. So that was fun, just get some stress off right before work. So other than that, it's just been pretty much the same. And then I had in-person school today. So that was kind of a little bit of an annoying adjustment to make, because I completely forgot that I had in-person school for, up until yesterday. And I was like, oh, I have to do that. So, yeah. I mean, it was just a little bit of a shock not to be able to sit here in my, pajamas and do nothing all day. But, yeah. What's been up?
Well, I was just living out my days until school came back. Sadly, I went to Six Flags drive-through on Sunday night and enjoyed that before I had to go back to school. But the only notable thing is, of course, me and Tim hanging out and me starting driver's ed. So that's a new kind of semester in my life, maturity. So I'm very excited for that. Yeah. So I already went over what will be in our podcast a little bit. So without a doubt, let's get to our guest segment. Flow for Real, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, everybody.
What's up?
Guys. Hold on, I'm trying to present it. Hi. All good here.
Yep.
Not much going on, but yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Should I kind of go into what I'm doing? Like, what is my deal?
Yeah, so we're going to start off with how do you know us, or how do you know me?
Well, I only know Sky out of the two of you here. So we've known each other for like 1.5 years over Instagram now. We're in a group chat together, and we've been really in touch with like a couple other guys. Like, it's kind of one of the only connections online that really went on for a long time. Like, they do like to break off, but with this guy and the others, we've really held up that connection. It's still going strong. So when he asked me to come on the podcast, I was like, oh yeah, definitely, I'd love to. And yeah, Flow for Real _ on Instagram. I also have a YouTube It's also Flow4Real _ like yeah, it's the same on YouTube and Instagram. I will try to upload more regularly this year. I started the channel like last March, so it's like 9 months now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I try to will try to upload more regularly. I do kind of just mock showcases, like start like especially in the last year, started building a lot of mocks, smaller and big ones. I also do like tutorials on how to build some of my own creations, so you can rebuild them. I also do some vlogs and set reviews, so kind of all Lego and my life with Lego. So it's been really
Yeah.
fun, and I do try to upload more next year. So we'll see how that works out. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm about.
We'll see how that goes. So,
Mhm.
next thing is, what country do you live in, and like what time zone are you? Because I know you are in a separate country, so I'm curious, or we're curious to know, just to fill in the viewers a little bit.
Well, I am from Austria, which is right dead center in the middle of Europe. It's like 15 minutes before midnight here, so it's 11:45 p.m. here, which yeah, well, time zones are a bit of a problem when you're dealing with someone who's like nearly on the other side of the world. But I'm stay up late guy, so I'm awake at this time every day. So it's not it worked out well. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
be awake for a couple bit of a
I
while
got
now
a
since
question.
yeah.
So, in Austria, right now, there's a lot of hectic stuff going on in the U.S. government-wise. How like prominent is that in your news sources, like right now?
Well,
Like, are you
I
seeing
did.
anything like that?
Yeah, we're definitely seeing it, but not like everything that happens, but like the major things. Like what happened just like a couple hours ago, I did already
Yeah,
catch wind of it on Instagram, but it's definitely gonna be in the news tomorrow. Like, yeah, with the political stuff, we don't get every bits and pieces, but the overall thing we always like we do report on like the overall like what's going on, like the important stuff. So yeah,
yeah.
we do catch wind of it, but not like first-hand experience. Whereas, like, what are they doing over there?
That's what we're thinking too.
Well,
Yeah.
but like politics in our country are sometimes also not as crazy over there. But there is some weird stuff happening where, like, why?
Right. So good question, Tim. Next question I have here written down for you is: does living in Austria affect your content, and does it like affect seeing movies and shows and that kind of thing? Since the U.S.,
Oh, it
there's difference.
it definitely affects shows a lot. Like movies, it's not as bad. Like sometimes we even like the Marvel movies, like the May release always was like a week earlier here. So like Civil War, Age of Ultron, Guardians 2, like I saw those like always a week ahead of America, but sometimes it's like very weird, like Ant-Man and the Wasp released 3 weeks after America, but the first Ant-Man, which also came in July, was like the same day. So it's a bit all over the place, but it mostly is with animated movies, like especially Pixar movies like Toy Story 4 and The Incredibles, like those come out like in June and they sometimes take until September, October to get here. So those really, well, they have been better. Like Onward came out the same time earlier this year, but like there's so much inconsistency. But other animated movies are mostly the same, so it's really weird thing with Pixar. But then it's like the same, but then it's like not the same. So that's pretty weird, and especially it's bad with shows like the English dub, the German dub to be released here takes a long time. Also with streaming services like Disney Plus came out like in November in the US, we had to wait until the end of March. So it really took nearly half a year longer for me to be able to see the Mandalorian and all that stuff. But season 2 of the Mandalorian is now on par. Like on Disney Plus, it's pretty good. Like it's mostly the same with the US, but like some other shows we have like a bit of a debacle with Wonder Woman right now, where I'm literally not able to watch it because HBO Max doesn't come out here until next September. Well, it's already out in the US, and cinemas are closed. Like we're in full lockdown. Like right now, like only groceries and pharmacy stores are open. Like we're not allowed to visit other people. Like groups of people are not allowed. Like over Christmas, we're just sitting at home right now. Cinemas have been closed for quite a while and will be closed for a while more. So, and they didn't outsource. It's like I have no literal legal way to watch Wonder Woman right now. So that's a bit of a bummer, but
Yeah.
it's not too great of a film, I heard. So I'm not.
No, not at all. I heard of a scene where there was a body double and a dummy clearly visible in
No,
a
well,
action sequence.
I actually said screw it. I already watched some spoiler reviews, so I know what's going on in the movie, and it doesn't sound good. Like people said, it's not that great. It's average. It's eh. I'm like, okay, yeah. I like the first movie, but I'm not too into the DC. If it was like Marvel, I'd be different. But DC, I'm like, yeah. I watched the spoiler review and was like, yeah, that doesn't sound great. So I'll watch it when I get a chance, but I'm not like rushing to see
On
it.
a more
So.
COVID note, how are vaccines going over there? You guys distributing vaccines at all yet, or how's that
I
going?
think it started. It's not as much as in other countries, but I think it started with the healthcare workers like not too long ago. Like I had COVID at the end of October. Actually, my entire family we already had it, and well, my immune system is kind of immune against it right now. So like we all had it, and we're not gonna get the vaccine. Like we're way down on the priorities list, but I'm not too keen on getting it. It's a do her side effect. So like we're all the way down at the list, like the ones that had already had it, and until then we'll see. Like it definitely has gotten worse with the cold season. Like it was light over the summer, but definitely got worse with cold season again, like in October, September. Been, yeah.
Yeah.
So the vaccine is not. I think they started with the healthcare workers, but that's about it right now. So
Yeah.
don't know
It,
more
it's
about that.
similar here in the US too. I know healthcare workers are getting it and select few other people like political leaders.
Mm,
Um I don't know. I'm not concerned because I also had COVID, so I got the vaccines. I'm all good.
mm.
Um, but moving on a little bit. So we already went over what your specialty is, what you're known for, your Lego content on Instagram. But
Yes.
how did you achieve this? Like, what is your upbringing?
Well, I had Lego as a kid, like in preschool. Like I had some Lego sets, like a lot of power miners and old castle stuff, which I recently even busted out a bit and some of the old adventurous stuff. I didn't get into. Well, I'm 21 right now, so I turned 21 in October. So when I was like 11 in 2010, I got into Star Wars, so I kind of started there. Well, at that time, I was still playing with Lego, and then, well, the collecting really starts in like 2012 with The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, at where it's like you aren't really playing with those anymore, but I still liked buying them, which I'm recently bought some of the ones I'm still missing, so I'm working on completing that collection right now. Well, yeah, it started kind of with the Hobbit sets, and then it kind of went from there. Like I had a lot of Star Wars stuff. I'm still playing with it, and some older stuff. And then I did go to I'm a gardener as a job, so like that's why I'm not a lot of free time over the winter because we're not gonna start work until spring again. Basically, I went to a 4-year horticultural school, and you had a lot of practical training in those years, so I was able to make like some money, like still $500 a month is still a lot for a 16-year-old. So I did spend most of it on Lego, and it's kind of been going. I did like after I finished that school, I graduated, and then I did my social service because in Austria I have to do 6 months of army or 9 months of social service, like in a retirement home, which I did. Well, the payment is absolute bad. Like you work 160, 180 hours a month and you get like 340 and then another 150 from the kind of the state itself. But I've been working a regular job since June this year and like getting full paychecks has definitely been nice. And I do definitely have to save more money for the future. Like I do pay for my car and all that stuff for my phone, but I do spend a lot in Lego and definitely have to save more like in the next year. But yeah, that's kind of like I've been able to get some money in for like a while now, so I've always been progressively being able to buy more stuff. Like
Yeah,
you
well,
can see some of it here. Like I'll just put
we
on
see all the Legos, and yeah, I
my
love that.
timer camera.
I love that pop wall. Tim, look, can you aim your camera back at the pop wall again?
A
Oh,
city work in progress over there. There. I've got like exactly 200 right now, I think.
oh my
I got
gosh.
I got two Mando pop like Funko Pops
What do
is
you think
kind of
your
my
rarest
cash.
pop is?
Probably the Tony Stark from Endgame with the gauntlet.
I
Just
think that's one Tim wanted, right?
Yeah.
yeah, I really wasn't expecting that one since a lot of pops are like convention exclusive, which are like America exclusive, but GameStop and some other store that's selling them does like to get in those convention exclusive. They are more expensive, but I found it and I was like, oh my god. It was like 25 bucks, which is like double the price of a regular pop, but I still bought it because it's like, yeah, that one's definitely going in the collection, even if it's double the price. Which I do try to buy them always cheaper, like GameStop always has like two, 3 for 2 or 2 plus 1 free. Like lots of those, like I always try to save money since the do
Yeah.
did start out quite expensive here, but they have gotten more popular over the years and like I've got my first ones, I think in summer 2016. So I've been collecting for like 4.5 years now.
Yeah, but that's a really awesome pop wall. I mean, it's
Mm.
cool. If you like,
Yeah, it's definitely a
if you-
nice feature when you come into the room and you have the entire wall.
absolutely. I mean, if I had the money and I had a whole bunch of pop figures, I would do the same thing because it would just
Mm.
make someone go wow in person.
Well, the only thing I'm worried about is when I hit the roof. Like I already had to hit the ceiling like 2 years ago, but then I rearranged my complete room and got some more space in. But I've got like 2.5 rows more, which is like another 60 pops space. But after that, oh, we'll see. I'm definitely not gonna stop buying, but
Yeah,
like all my stuff is in my room and space is getting quite tight in here, so
you might need
we'll
to
see
get a
how that
new
evolves.
house or new apartment soon.
Well, I'm still at my parents' house, like at my mom's house. But
Yeah, I mean,
I think there are
still,
ways for me to expand. So
yeah, for
we'll
sure.
see. It
Yeah,
definitely will be necessary sometime.
and your upbringing. I mean, or sorry, going back, it's worked. People love your content. I believe you got over 6,000 followers now on
Yeah,
Instagram. Which
recently,
is
like end of December, like I was hoping to get to 6K by the end of the year, and I hit them like a week or 10 days before. Like with my big Bigfoot tuna post from the Mandalorian season 2, that one really blew up. That was one of the most popular posts this year, and that one got me to 6K. I think I hit like 6.1K like today or yesterday. Oh, I haven't uploaded in like another week because I'm lazy. I say I'm gonna upload, but I don't. So that's a real struggle that I have. Like I'm gonna upload and then I just don't.
yeah.
So definitely.
Well, it's an impressive feat, and I mean, keep going, and
Yeah.
you're just
Mm.
gonna grow even more. But
Yeah, it's
we,
definitely
we
taken a while. Like I've been doing this for over 5 years now. So some people started like this year and got like the same amount of subs as me, but the Lego community definitely wasn't as strong
wait,
back then.
how many subscribers
Like
do you
up to
have
2 years, I have 6.1K
on Instagram or on YouTube?
on Instagram. On YouTube, I just hit 600 recently. So
600. Oh my,
yeah,
awesome.
looking
I've been
forward to that
doing I've been like
1K.
uploading random content since
Mm,
2014. I only got the 215 smear, but
mm.
I mean my views are decent, so I'm
Well,
not
I've got a
complaining.
lot of people coming over from my Instagram because I already had like 5K when I started. Well, not, I think like 4.5K when I started the YouTube channel. So I'd always promoted, like, and cross promoted with like all my tutorials. I have the parts list on my Instagram and link the YouTube and link from YouTube to Instagram. So like a lot of stuff is definitely from a lot of stuff from my Instagram. But that's kind of my main thing for 2020, which I'm trying to upload more frequently and make like more content frequently and kind of keep that growing, since it's definitely gonna be hopefully incline in subs when you're doing regular content. Like it's not just sometimes a 2 months off. Just well, I still got time. Like I'm still another 2 months until I'm working, so
Yeah,
I'm
Phil.
hoping to get into that.
All right. Well, we are going to do 3 quick questions. So just like quick answer, and then we're going to go on to the viewer submitted questions here. So
Alright,
are you ready for this? First
I'm
one.
ready.
Favorite Lego set? Go.
It's hard to pick a favorite. The UCS Falcon would be my favorite if I had it, but I really like some of the modulars, like the Parisian restaurant and the American diner. Like those are up there with my favorites right now. Or the roller coaster, my biggest set at the own. So probably one of those, like some of the bigger creator expert sets.
Yeah. Favorite show? Shows, movies.
Definitely the Mandalorian right now. Like season 2 was incredible, and I loved season 1. Like and also I love Clone Wars and Phineas and Ferb, the classic, which I will rewatch this year. Like those are like my top 3 shows I love to watch.
For sure. And then last one, I don't know if it's the Tony Stark's your favorite, but what's your favorite pop figure?
Well, probably the Tony Stark, like that one's really cool. But I have a couple of cool ones. Like I have like Beskar. I can't really see it because but I've got like this super sized Beskar Mando, which like the metal is super shiny. It's like chrome painted. He's holding Grogu. Like that's like the super sized one. That's also one of my favorites in my collection right now.
I love it. All right. Now we're on to the viewer submitted questions. Waiting from a doc. Okay. These questions are from Lego SWAT _3.
I think I know that guy.
I think you do. All right. First question is, how far do it squirt?
I don't know what I was expecting, but I'm surprised. No.
How far do it squirt, though?
A good question for another time. To quote Mass Canada from episode 7.
Next one from Lego. What shape is a triangle?
Like a square, but one less corner.
What number is 27?
Depends. $27, not much.
What is it like not being emotionally depressed 24/7?
Definitely not depressing.
What is it like being in a chat with a world famous meme page admin Lego SWAT _3?
It's been an honor ever since, so
It truly
I'm
is an
honored.
honor.
Yes.
What was your lowest point of 2020, and why was it when Lego SWAT was inactive for a whole week?
But for real talk right now, my worst part of 2020 was my grandpa passing away from COVID at the end of November. So, like, this was my first like death in the family. I've never had someone close to me die, so that one has definitely been a first and definitely the low point. Like, even with all the lockdown, that's the worst part that happened this year, which
Yeah.
really
Well,
was like sad. But
I'm
yeah.
sorry for that.
it's sooner or later everyone has to go. And,
Yeah.
Could have been worse.
Next question comes from Matt Smith. Is there a huge cultural barrier between people from your country or people not from your country and continent?
Ooh, definitely, because like Europe in itself is a lot more like has a lot more history than, let's say, like a lot more historic stuff going on than some other countries, or like definitely Europe is kind of its own like really historical bubble, and like there are a lot of Austrian things that kind of are like a bit of Germany and Switzerland, like northern Italy, but like that's kind of my cultural zone. And there's like even lots of different subcultures in Austria. Like here, like if I talk to someone from Vienna, it's like completely different. So definitely there's some cultural barriers, like even in the country, or like a couple of hundred kilometers in one way or the other. Like it's pretty dense here.
Yeah. Next question is from Matt is why don't I have a penis?
Ask your parents.
You hear
What
that,
you
Matt?
mean?
Go ask your parents. And then these questions are from logo.bricks. What do you think of the Lego community and what kind of influence and inspiration has it had on you?
Lego community is great. Like there's always been some bad eggs to say, but they haven't been too bad here. And definitely the community has definitely helped grow my account and channel. Like the first 3 years on my Instagram, I was kind of just doing the thing on my own, and then like in 2018, the Lego community really blew up. I kind of got into it. Like the group chat feature of Instagram really was like a starting point, and you've got a lot of great people on there, which all really nice. So definitely been great, and definitely the best time on Instagram, having this community, being part of it, and being able to kind of take inspiration and support each other, which has been really great. So the past 2 years have definitely been the best on Instagram I had.
Yeah. And then the last question from Logo is what is it like to be a Lego fan your age and has it come with any struggles?
Well, not really. Like definitely in high school, I'm the quiet kid. Like I'm definitely more of a quiet, held back person. And I did get bullied and didn't fight back. I just kind of sat there and took it. Like I had problems with bullying in high school, like just not physical, but kind of mental abuse. So I've kind of been hiding it there because I haven't really, I was made fun of. But then when I got into like high school, like I did tell people, and like most people are just like cool. Like I have a lot of people they're mostly like impressed to go into the room. They're like, wow. So I've really had no problems. Like no one is judging me for my hobby. Like it's been great. So people are really understanding of this. Definitely some people are like, why are you doing this? But I haven't met any of them in person. So it's all great. Like no one's judging me, neither my mom. She prefers it. Like it's definitely better than some other kids who are doing my age. So no, I've really had
Absolutely.
no struggles at all with being my collector. Like most people just kind of think that's really cool. So yeah, no real struggle there, which has been great.
Yeah, for sure. And that pretty much wraps up all the questions. We had a few other viewer submitted questions for you. Flo, it was awesome having you on.
Oh, it was a pleasure coming on. First time podcasting. It's definitely something I've wanted to try in a while. So really exciting to do those first steps. So thanks
Yeah,
for having me.
no
Really was
problem.
great talking on here.
Maybe we'll have another time to have you on, or possibly a future boys podcast for the group
Yeah,
chat.
we'll see how that goes.
It's something we'll
I'm
see.
in. Like I'm in. Like you can
Yeah.
count on me if you like. Like weekend recordings definitely work pretty well.
We just
Yeah,
gotta set that up. But
yeah.
anyway, guys, if you have not, follow at @flowforreal_ on Instagram and go look up his YouTube channel. I do not have it in the links, but if you would like to, I will put it there.
It's
Anyway,
literally
Flo,
the same.
thank you so much for coming on, and
Yeah.
yeah, everyone go check him out. Bye, Flo.
Thanks for having me,
Bye.
guys. See ya.
See ya. Thank you so much, Flo, for coming on. All right, Tim, you've been quiet over there. What's up?
What do you mean, what's up?
What's up? You've been quiet over there.
I mean, I don't really have anything prepared. I don't know the guy. It's kind of your thing. Take the lead,
Yeah,
man.
very
I
true.
mean, you straight up told me before we started that I wasn't going to be saying much, so
Yeah, I
just
know.
kind of stuck on that.
Well, but here we are. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, I do not have anything in the what's new segment because I don't know what's new. Mitch McConnell.
That's not, yeah, something's new. Literally, there are massive amounts of protesters breaking in through the U.S. Capitol building because they can't handle the fact that Trump lost the election, and they can't handle the fact that Pence did not object to the certification. So they decided to destroy a government building, essentially.
Wait,
Which, I mean,
were
Republican or
these
Democrat, everybody can agree that that's an act of terrorism. So
were these Republicans?
These were Republicans. They were all Trump supporters. Every single one of them were Trump supporters.
They're making us look bad. What the hell?
Well, they're making everybody look bad because
I didn't
that's
hear
just
that.
irrational. They had a pipe bomb, dude. They brought a pipe bomb to the thing. That is terrorism.
Yeah, I didn't hear much about that, but I heard that the National Guard was deployed in Wisconsin over the recent stuff with Jacob Blake on how he wasn't, or the cops that shot him did whatever were not charged, and they shouldn't have been.
One
because
thing, though, that was slightly amusing is that one of them did manage to break into Nancy Pelosi's office, and they did take a selfie sitting in her chair with their legs crossed up on her desk, and that was kind of an amusing picture. Obviously, it's really disrespectful, so not amusing in that sense. Obviously, that's completely unacceptable. But the fact that he took that picture and now his face is everywhere, like, man, you're done. You're going to jail for life, dude. Like, that was not a smart decision, although it was kind of funny that he thought that it would be.
Yeah, and I heard Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi's houses got graffitied on too, as well. But yeah, there's not much with new there. So, what do you think? Shall we go for storm the Rotunda? Sorry, my dad texted me. The instigators that stormed the Rotunda were Antifa, hiding as Trump supporters. That's what.
See, that's what they're going to try saying, but I do have a feeling. That it was indeed Trump supporters that did this. They can. Dad, I'm podcasting. It's going to be a while. But yeah, I think they can try saying that it's Antifa, but I feel like it was Trump supporters.
I don't know. We'll look into it and maybe put on a future podcast. But I'm thinking we just skip the performance segment till later, and we just go over our two main topic segments right here, and we'll stick under the hour benchmark so we don't go over, and you can go eat dinner a little sooner. Yeah, because that sounds good. My dad says there are pictures. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to be talking about Soul on Disney Plus. In fact, me and Tim watched this together when we were together last week. That's the movie we watched during the nighttime. We talked, had fun, and just did all that. So let's get into it a little bit. Now, this isn't a musical, so there's going to be...
Dude, go upstairs. I'm trying to do a podcast. I don't care. Dad just told me. Get out.
Anyway, so this is not a normal musical kind of podcast. So we're just, non-normal musical main topic segments, or there's going to be different questions, but let's straight get into it. What is Soul? Soul is the newest Pixar movie by Disney, and that's about it. It's a very heavy themed kind of thing with themes of death and afterlife and what happens when you pass. And we watched this together. So what are your first thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, it was good. It was pretty solid for a Pixar movie. Being about music, I was a little bit underwhelmed with the use of music throughout the actual film. It seemed like they kind of downplayed that a little bit, considering it was about a guy who was a jazz soul artist. So I think that the premise of the movie was a little bit untouched, but overall it was good.
Yeah, it was good. I watched some YouTube videos of people reviewing the movie, and I came to the conclusion that it was a solid movie, but it lacked something making it its own movie. It followed the same Pixar formula and didn't have a very satisfying ending.
It was very much like Inside Out. It seemed almost identical to Inside Out, in my opinion.
Yeah, but there's a certain Pixar formula that they follow, and I think this movie really lacked because it didn't have a good ending. You know, at one point Joe got what he wanted and got his life, but he felt that regret for 22. Then he got 22 her life, and he was ready to accept death, accept his fate, and move on to the beyond and all that. That would have been a very sentimental and ending that hit and would make you cry. But he got his life back in the ending, and he got to live it. But there isn't quite a good theme there. just live your life to the fullest. We know this. We've been told this.
I mean, they were definitely trying to portray the theme of realizing the meaning of life and realizing while you're here, you got to do what you can. So he experienced death. He experienced everything that happened, and he came back to his life, and he found things in his life that others might not necessarily see, such as 22. So essentially, the theme is him realizing how important life is. He was trying to get 22 to understand that as well. He ended up giving her life, and she enjoyed it, and she soon was able to understand things the way that he did. So it's really just the theming is take advantage of what you got when you got it. Don't let anything slide by.
Yeah. I don't know. And back to the point where I don't think it had a proper conclusion. We never got to see anything at 22. I would so much love to see if like some sort of hint to 22 being there around Joe, and they meet or something, even like a post-credit scene, but it wasn't there. So yeah. What's your favorite character?
Favorite character was probably Mr. Mittens or whatever his name is. After 22 possessed him, or I said that improperly. After 22 took over Joe's body and Joe took over Mr. Mittens, I think it was really creative the way that they had a human body inside of a cat, essentially the cat acting it out, like kind of Secret Life of Pets vibes, but in a whole different sense. So I thought that was a really good use of a character, and I enjoyed that a lot.
I thought that was a common trope we see, but that's just what I thought. My favorite character.
I mean, it can seem like a commonality, but can also be seen as unique if you view it in the situation that it's placed in the movie.
My favorite character was maybe like the Matt, no, not the Terrys. What was his name? Terry's and the Jerry's. No, Jerry. Whatever the one dude was that was tracking him down. I don't know. I liked his character design, how he moved across the real world. And Flo says he thought it was a pretty good movie. It's right in the middle of Pixar movies quality. Buys for him. Favorite scene in the movie.
Favorite scene, definitely. I enjoyed the scene where 22 got the little helicopter and whatever, and after she went away and Joe had those relics with him, reminded him of what she was seeing as she started to enjoy the life on Earth. And when he kind of took those relics, he remembered what that was like, and he then used that to give her the opportunity. That scene was really powerful because it just shows you, once again, take advantage of what you got and don't let anything slip by.
Yeah. My favorite scene is when 22 was in like the dream world between life and death, and how she was picking up stuff and throwing them at people. I just thought that was funny. One dude just stopped and failed his shot, and that was a dig at a real team. Juliet and Romeo and Juliet, a classic trope to make fun of them, but I think it was still my best scene. Overrated character and underrated character. We'll go through this quickly.
I think Joe was kind of, in my opinion, a little bit of a weak main character as far as what he was meant to be, which was a sole performer living this life and not getting his shot, instead being stuck as a middle school teacher. Obviously, he was very dynamic throughout the end of the film. You could see the changes that he went through, but I still just really feel like they could have done a lot more with the theming as far as his character goes. And then obviously the underrated character would be 22, because she's not even in any of the promotional stuff at all. You don't even know about her until you watch the movie, and it's just kind of like she honestly seems to bear a lot more of an image of the movie soul than he really does.
Yeah. I'd have to agree with that. My overrated character would... who would it be? The Dorothea woman. I think she's overrated. She was just a person who played a sax, I think. What was that? I don't know. She just wasn't this legendary person that he spoke of. And underrated, I think, was Paul from the barbershop. Mr. David Diggs, super underrated. We need, you know what? Screw Joe. We need a whole story with Paul, okay? Voiced by David Diggs. We need to see his rise into fame in Hamilton. Imagine that, a story about Paul. I don't know. He's underrated. We need to see more of him. I would like a whole Disney Plus show on Paul, please, and thank you, Disney. More David Diggs. I would absolutely love that. So does this fit in with the other Pixar movies?
So I'm sure you've heard of the whole Pixar arc
Well, of
and
course.
all that. I haven't been too up to date with that. It's been years since I've taken a look into any of that. Obviously, as we mentioned before, the theming of it is kind of similar to Inside Out and other similar Pixar movies of that nature, but I think it fits in well as a Pixar movie, and it doesn't really set it apart from the rest of them as much as other things do, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Uh, why did I lose my place? As a kid, would you really enjoy this? Because I think if I was a kid, I wouldn't necessarily find this movie to be fun. It would be kind of boring in my opinion. There wasn't much to captivate me as a kid. If I was a kid,
Yeah, it definitely had a little bit of, you know, more of a deeper adult meaning, understanding that a lot more than it would appeal to the little kids. The little kids would just love the visuals of it. But yeah,
absolutely. This movie portrays very mature themes. You know, like I said, death, what it is beyond death, before death, and all that, which is heavy. And I don't know. I think they do a decent job of bringing it forth. But I would like to see a story where it actually goes through, and you see a character like venture into the great beyond. And yeah, that's about it. Even with the mature themes, does it make you want to cry like other Pixar films? Like, does it have that cry moment like other movies might? I say no. There's no movie where there is no part in the movie where I felt slightly sentimental.
I mean, I felt a little sentimental as he was realizing how the parts that she enjoyed in life. But like you mentioned, there's not really much of a climax on that note towards the end where you get to see her coming back. And if they would have had that conversation at the end, that might have been the hit. That might have been the, oh my gosh, this really happened. And they're both talking about it and he's admitting to it. But that just never came. It was more along the lines of, well, I did all this, but you don't really see the ending of it. So it doesn't keep you in that stage of awe for very long.
Absolutely, I have to agree with that. The story is good, but would you say it's a good movie overall?
Overall, I'd say it was a solid movie just as a movie. Now, compared to other similar movies, Pixar, animated in general, movies about the afterlife, just it didn't really pack a punch to, necessarily divide itself from the rest, but as a movie, it was a good movie. It definitely was worth the watch, just to say that you watched it. So,
Yeah,
yeah, that's kind of where I stand.
Yeah, I think it was a good movie to watch together and get a really good opinion on it. And I think it was released in a good time. This is not the best Pixar movie, and I don't think it would have been best to see in theaters. So the fact it was released for Disney Plus, I think was perfect and the perfect thing to do. And yeah, and I think it was released during a good time too, because I know there's a lot of issues with people of color and things like that in our country currently. And I think that's what people want to see. They want to see people of color portrayed in movies in a positive light. And I think they do that to an extent with black culture, but I don't think they went into black culture as much as they could have in terms of like Coco and Maui. But I think those cultures are kind of more
Maui.
Moana. Sorry, I'm thinking. I think those cultures are more developed and have their own kind of singularity versus black culture. It's very similar to other cultures, or it's very similar to just normal life. I don't know. I can't be the one to speak on this, but Flo says 10-year-old me would have been really bored. you really need to have lived to really get this one. I have to agree with that statement.
I'm going to note today in-person school in sociology, we were learning about the stages of life. And you start out, infant, toddler, early childhood, adolescence, adult, early young adult, then middle age, and then death. And actually learning about the progression through those stages at the end, you either get to a state of, appreciation. You look back at your life, you're happy about all the things you did. You either make it to that point or you make it to the point of despair where you look back at your life and you think about the things that you didn't like, the things that you didn't do the way that you wanted, the things that just didn't go your way, So you either reach one of those 2 points, and to really understand that meaning, you kind of have to experience it for yourself. You kind of got to understand where they're coming from with that. And for an animated movie that definitely would seem to target the younger children, they aren't going to understand that theming whatsoever. It's just too out there for them.
Yeah, but I thought it was a decent movie. And that's our concluding thoughts. If you would like to go watch Soul, and just if you have free time, go watch Soul on Disney Plus if you would like to. And that's all there really is about it. Now we're on to our next main topic segment, Ratatouille the TikTok musical. Because we all love Rat Me the Ratatouille. Yeah, it was decent. That's just what I'm gonna say. But to officially get into it, what is Ratatouille the TikTok musical? This started off as just a sound on TikTok of a really high-pitched person singing a Broadway song of Remy the Ratatouille. And that stemmed
Was it a Broadway song, or was it a song that she created for herself? I think that was a composed song.
No, I'm very sure that there was a Broadway composer who wrote a couple songs for a supposed Ratatouille musical, and I think she took some of that and made her own kind of thing. It was just a 15-second clip, so there's not much originality to it, but it's still there. So essentially that got popular and people started posting covers, writing their own songs, doing set designs, costume designs, just creating a full Broadway show on TikTok. And they label it as the TikTok musical, but I don't really think a lot of the creativity that really went into Ratatouille was displayed in this. We'll get into that just a little later. So how did the idea to watch this come about? Because this was actually very interesting.
Well, me and Michael, we were just sitting there, and I was just scrolling on Instagram, and I got something that popped up, Ratatouille playbills for sale. And I was like, that looks kind of cool. And then I looked into tickets, and then I was like, wouldn't hurt to buy admission to this. So me and Michael kind of worked something out. We both ended up purchasing a playbill, and we both ended up purchasing tickets. So that's kind of how the idea to watch it came about. Is I'd heard about it in the past, but I never really put too much interest in it until that night, like literally the night or 2 nights before it.
It was literally
actually came out.
It was actually the same day. Would you say same day of it? Because this was.
I mean, it was past midnight.
No, okay. This is like a 24 hours maybe pretty much before this, and this was at 1:30 in the morning. But yeah, that's essentially it. And I'm still waiting for them to ship my playbill out. I'm actually gonna check the status of it right now.
They're not shipping until a few weeks into January.
They said early January.
That can mean a number of things, but they're projecting it to be a few weeks into January.
I'm just gonna look anyway. Approved pending shipping, yeah. God damn it, Playbill, you had to do this to me.
It's not just you, buddy. It's probably every single person that ordered a Playbill.
I know. So what were your... You know what? Let's skip that. For our first thoughts of it were just, wow, a Ratatouille TikTok musical. And that's about it. Well,
So I think actually for me, I have quite the interesting perspective because I watched it with my girlfriend, and she's not as into musical stuff as I am. So for her, it was just kind of a completely new experience, and it was really nice to be able to sit there and watch it with her. And it kind of quickly became like a little thing to watch her experience it and everything. But my first thoughts on it were that it was actually surprisingly impressive what they were able to do with it, considering almost everything was having to do with online, over the cloud, sharing content that way. There's no way it was an easy process for them to put together. But also seeing it from a perspective of somebody without almost any musical experience prior to watch something like that, and she enjoyed it. So I mean, it definitely appeals to a number of audiences. You don't necessarily have to be, you know, super into musicals and stuff to get a kick out of it. Anybody can enjoy it. So I think overall, just generally, it was pretty solid considering what they had to do and the amount of time that they had to do it.
For sure. And I'm surprised that they got all the talent in this show. Holy crap. I'm just gonna go over a couple names here in the playbill.
Before
you
you
got,
mention any of those names, I'd like to secure my position on naming my favorite cast member, that being Adam Lambert.
of course. So, all right. So, actors. Sorry, this virtual playbill is not working well. Anyway, so we got people like Wayne Brady, who was on The Masked Singer and was Bert in the Chicago production of Hamilton. Titus Burgess, who I think was in The Lion King on Broadway and also did The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt on Netflix. Yeah, I didn't really like him. He was as Remy. We got Kevin Chamberlain, who has been in a couple Broadway shows like Wicked and was on Jessie on Disney. Andre DeShields
And
from
Good Luck Charlie.
Hadestown. Yeah. Andre DeShields, Andrew Barth Feldman from Dear Evan Hansen, Adam Lambert, who was a frontman for Queen, and I'm not sure if he has any Broadway credits. Priscilla Lopez, I'm not sure about her. Ashley Park, who was Gretchen in Mean Girls, and I'm not sure other than that. I think she might have been Heathers. I'm not very sure on that. Mary Testa, I'm not sure about her. But that's pretty much the big names. But there's a couple other TikTok stars like JJ Nyman, who was in the Book of Mormon on Broadway, and a couple other productions that I cannot name off the top of my head.
There
But
were a bunch of
specifically,
dancers, side ensemble dancers that came from Six. That's
yeah,
notable.
that's what I was about to say. They have the entire cast of Six as ensemble dancers for Adam Lambert's "Rat's Way of Life" number.
Favorite song,
And
easy. That's the best song in the whole shebang. It
yeah,
slaps.
sadly I have to agree. But yeah, no, all the girls of Six, like the main queens and the understudies, which I thought was really nice to see. How'd they do consider limitations? Tim already went over this a little bit. It was really good for what they had. Favorite character in the show? I think mine was Linguini.
I mean, looking at the front of it, Andrew Barth Feldman is Linguini at this
Yeah.
point. I mean, he portrayed that he portrayed that role so well that, I mean, he looks like Linguini. He has a beautiful voice, obviously. So now when I think of Linguini, I think of Andrew Barth Feldman. That's just kind of associated now.
For sure.
My favorite character, though, for obvious reasons, was Emil. I mean, he wasn't featured a whole lot in the show. He had one feature number and he had a few dialogue moments. So not necessarily a huge character, but while he was in the production, he definitely left his mark.
For sure. Favorite song? You already said "The Rat's Way of Life." That would be my second favorite song. My favorite song was Andrew Barth Feldman's solo. Anyone Can Cook. I think that's what it was called.
Anyone Can Cook is Gusto.
Okay, whatever it was. I don't know what the official name for that, but lyrics are "Anyone can cook if you have the perfect guide." The way he hit the vibrato and the high notes. Oh, I just loved it. It was so amazing. Favorite scene. Now, I mean, there wasn't barely any scenes, but my favorite scene would have to be Colette and Linguini meeting. I mean, maybe that because her number was decent.
I think my favorite scene was towards the beginning when Priscilla Lopez, as the old lady, was actually kind of chasing them out of the house, and obviously everybody recording their own separate part, they couldn't, necessarily make that scene look super realistic. So it was kind of amusing to see everybody like doing their stupid stuff. That scene, I think that was my favorite scene just because of it was amusing the way they chose to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Overrated characters, underrated characters.
Overrated character, definitely Remy the Rat. Not necessarily an overrated character, but definitely an overrated actor portrayal of that character. If someone else would have been in that role, I feel like the character would have been a little stronger. But solely based off of Titus's performance, I just don't think that character necessarily deserved to be the main character.
Yeah, I have to agree. That's for overrated. Underrated, I think, would be Colette. Ashley Park did an amazing job with the accent.
Now, I have a question about that. Do you know, does she actually have a French-speaking accent?
No.
So the fact that she was able to do that accurate of a French-speaking accent, not only a French-speaking accent, but a French singing accent on top of that, it was beautiful. It was just really beautiful. So that's impressive, and I think that's definitely an underrated moment in the
Yeah,
film.
and I think she's of Asian ethnicity too. And I don't know if you follow the Ratatouille TikTok or not TikTok, the Instagram. They reposted one of her TikToks where she can actually sing in the high range that the original TikTok was, and it's very, very impressive if you say so myself. But my underrated character, I already said my underrated character. What am I saying? Did the show live up to the expectations it put forth? I think it was good for what it was, but I don't think it was as good as it went out to be because nobody really knew exactly what it was. If it was a bunch of people over Zoom, if
Right,
it was,
but that also kind of builds on the opposite perspective, though. Nobody knew what it was going to be, so it's kind of difficult to necessarily capture what it was planned on being. So, I mean, did it live up to the hype? Did it live up to what it was going to be? It's tough to tell, honestly, just because of the fact that nobody knew what they were going to do with it. Nobody knew, is this going to be a stage performance? Is this going to be an edited compilation? Are there going to be a whole bunch of singing numbers? Is there going to be dialogue? All these different things, just completely X factors before it even came out. So living up to what it was going to be, I think it was going to be just a production with numerous talents, just kind of trying to create something musical during a pandemic. And I think it definitely lived up to that expectation.
mm-hmm. It did properly credit and use TikToker ideas. I think for what they used, it did, but they very pick and chose what they got from TikTok. And how did they use TikTokers' ideas? Like at the beginning, there was somebody called Shoebox Musicals who created a set for Ratatouille in a shoebox, and they used that with lighting, music, and all that as the beginning, which was very good. And it was his first technical Broadway credit. So that was fun. How will this hold up in a year? What are you thinking, Tim?
How did this hold up to what?
How would this hold up in a year?
In a year, I think that's going to become dependent on the progression of Broadway in general throughout this pandemic. If Broadway does come back, if more shows come back, this is going to fall underneath the wayside. However, I can see a potential opportunity for this to make it to Broadway in the theater with people performing these parts. And I can definitely see Ratatouille the musical becoming a huge thing in a year. But as the production that we have right now online, I don't think it's going to fare very well once other things start kind of coming back to the light.
Absolutely. And I think it'd be cool, since they market this as the TikTok musical, if they would actually bring people in from TikTok to do costume designs, set for all that, if it was an actual Broadway production. And
I feel like at that point, they just take TikTok out of the name. I think they would definitely just try making it a full Broadway credit.
yeah, I'd have to agree. But I'm saying, there's some decently talented people that could probably do it justice. Yeah. So, would you change any of the cast in that first, say, Broadway show?
Well,
I'm gonna tell you right
definitely,
now.
as we've already mentioned,
I'm gonna tell you right now. I'd change Remy.
yep, that would definitely be the first cast to change. And then, I mean, Kevin Chamberlain, obviously, he's a stud. He's a great guy. He's hilarious, but not sure that his vocal talent was necessarily the best for the role. You know, he kind of was meh.
I have to agree, but I think he would be most likely to be cast in the role because he fits what they're looking for. Most likely. Yeah, was the acting good? I'm just saying this. I think everyone had a solid acting and solid moments besides the mainstream people and Remy. Oh my god, Titus is Remy. He was clearly reading off a teleprompter the whole time, and I don't think was really trying. He was just reading what was on a teleprompter with.
Same with Adam. He definitely was not off book at all. He was sitting here going, no, 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 no. And then he'd look at the camera and then back around to his little sheet of paper that had his lyrics right there.
You know, he sounded good, but I that really put a distaste in my mouth. You can tell who's mainstream and who's like Broadway because people like Ashley Park, Andrew Feldman, Wayne Brady, they like put effort into their costumes, what they're doing, what they were saying. You didn't see them once look over for lyrics.
The emotion was heavily prevalent in the Broadway talent as opposed to Adam Lambert, who is he is simply a vocalist. And I mean, I showed the clip to my mom and she mentioned, wow, it's amazing. He sings like that and he doesn't even make it look like it's that difficult. It looks like he does that so effortlessly. And yes, that is a good thing when you're putting on a vocal talent performance. However, when you're performing in a musical, the emotion that you're showing with your facial expressions, with your body language and everything, that just becomes so much more important. And I feel like that was the one thing in his performance that was really lacking was his ability to connect emotionally to the music that he's performing.
Mm-hmm. I have to agree. But those are all of our thoughts on Ratatouille, the musical, and that's it. So thank you for tuning in for that. And ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, this is going to be the end of our podcast. I'm sorry we couldn't get to any performance segments today. We were busy. We had the main topics. We had Flo as a guest, and I think this was a pretty solid episode without any singing. And yeah, if you would like to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Skyxx148, subscribe to my podcast or subscribe to my channel for more content, weekly videos. Make sure you follow Flow4Real _ on Instagram if you would like to for awesome Lego content. And Tibber, plug your socials.
Timber777. If I type this in the chat, is it able to be pulled up?
No, not that chat.
Yeah, that's
Anyway,
great. Timber777.
Timber777. Twitch, all that. Go search that. Anyway, tune into next week for whatever we have planned next week. I will schedule it once we figure that out. And other than that, thank you so much for tuning in. Goodbye.